Well, hello and welcome to the ALEC 640 Instructional Materials presentation. My name is Dean Michello, and for this particular project, I decided that I would take a look at the innovation development process in chapter 4, and specifically one particular step of that, step 5, which is the diffusion and adaption aspect of that. And I would like to just kind of go over those and then briefly bring it back to the agricultural extension model and how it actually plays into specialist program development. So let's go ahead and get started with the presentation. So here are some of the learning objectives that I hope to get out of, or I hope you all get out of this program, and that is really, they're very basic, right? So one is just gain a basic understanding of the innovation development process. I will run through all 6 of those, although we just don't have time to really dive into all of them. So it'll be kind of just a high level aspect of each of those process elements. And then just hope that you'll learn a little bit about step 5, the diffusion and adoption step of this process. And how that is actually a pretty important piece to the whole entire innovation development process. And then would like you to gain a good understanding of the agricultural extension model, right? This is pretty important considering, Texas A&M is a land-grant university, and this is a big piece of Texas A&M is agricultural extension. So, and then finally, I'll try to bring it all back together with a program that I'm working on particularly, and how all of the 6 steps sort of fit into this program development, and then especially how important the diffusion and adoption step is to the program. So these are the topics we're going to cover here. We're going to cover the innovation development process. We're going to talk about the 6 main steps of the process. We're really going to dive into step 5. Then we'll get into a little bit of history and organization of the agricultural extension model. And then we'll talk about the program at the end. So taken from Roger's book, this is really just a graphic that I grabbed that shows how linear the innovation development process is. And each of these steps really build on one another. So they don't always occur in the same order all the time, but generally they do. And it is kind of a building process from the beginning of recognizing that there's a need for a problem, and then all the way to the very end, the consequences of actually solving that problem or addressing that need, and then all of the steps that fall in between. So let's kind of go over some of these a little bit here in action. So when I say they build on each other, we've got basically the need or the problem arises, right? So we'll go over a couple of examples of that. And then once that is sort of identified, right, then we've got to apply some basic research to how are we going to actually solve that problem? What are the things that we really need to address those needs? And then we'll start developing it, whether it's a tangible product, whether it's an inanimate program, whatever it is, there'll be some development involved in that. And then once that development is done, the product needs to be commercialized, right? So there needs to be some commercialization of it. This is basically a lot of marketing, a lot of aspects that go into it to actually make this product something that people can use and understand and know that's out there in the public. And then, of course, here, step 5, diffusion and adoptions is where we're really going to focus our time on. This is the big one here, but this really is where you're either going to be successful or you're going to fail with your product. Is right at this step. This is a really critical step, because if it is not absorbed into the community and adopted by the community and then used and well revered, then it's not actually going to take off. It's not actually going to be a benefit to others. And then, of course, there's consequences to all of these, whether they're intended or unintended. There are always trade-offs and always consequences. All right. So let's talk about each of these just briefly, right? So recognizing a need or a problem. In the book, Rogers talks about Ralph Nader and the automobile safety, right? And they were saying that it was dangerous. Actually, it was said that it was the nut job behind the wheel. But I just wanted to kind of show this a little bit, look at an example for you of how this need or this problem was addressed by an iconic car company called the MG. Some of y'all may know of MG, some of y'all may not. They stopped making these in the 80s in the United States. But if you see the picture on the top, those metal chrome bumpers, those were considered to be dangerous by this automobile safety study. So for MG to continue importing cars into the United States, they had to meet safety standards. In 1975, actually, safety standards came in. So they had to put this rubber bumper on there. It's like 15-mile-an-hour impact bumper, which really changed the whole look of the car. It changed the way the car did, and it really changed a lot of things about the car, especially in the collector car market. So it really has all of those bits and pieces in it, from the need all the way through to the consequences of it. But I just thought I'd point that out for the first one. The next one is the basic and applied research. So research has to be done. It's always something that you don't know until you actually do the research. You can either set your hypothesis, you can set your theories, you can set everything up, but until the research is actually done, you're not going to be able to solve any of these things. So we need the research to be done before we can actually continue down the line, because we have to actually know really what it is that we're solving, how are we going to solve it, and then what are the ways to do it. And that's going to really come out in a lot of the research, both the basic research, which is investigation for knowledge without specific application, right? So we're just doing some basic research, we're just gathering some data. We don't really have a particular application for it yet. And then applied research is intended to solve the problem, right? So two different things, but both really, really important. And sometimes both of them are done in tandem. For the development piece, I really, really enjoyed how the refrigerator got its hum story that was highlighted, or study that was highlighted in Rogers' book. This was really interesting to me because was a great example of how the inferior product actually became the favorite, the gold standard, the product that was diffused and adopted by society, not the better product, which was the gas refrigerator over the electric refrigerator. So read that if you haven't read that, because that's pretty good. I really enjoyed that study, but it really shows how marketing plays a huge role in the development of a product. And then commercialization. This is really how things are marketed. This is really where we kind of see the product out in public. We see it on the shelves. We see it packaged. There's lots of pieces to this commercialization. And one of the things that I thought is interesting is looking at this, I came across this story on Retail Brew about the Apple iPhone box, and really just all of the Apple product boxes, and how people just don't want to throw those away. throw those away. So this is a really good story, short read in the Retail Brew 2023 that really just talks about how unpackaging an iPhone became a ritual more than anything else. So that really tells you right there that the marketing, the packaging, and everything was done superior at Apple for those products. So, and then the diffusion and adoption, this is where we'll focus most of our time. Well, of course, we're focusing our time on a lot of other things right now, but this is where we'll really bring it together. And really what I want to do is look at the model itself, the agricultural extension model, and then the different groups that are involved in this, the county extension agents, agri-life specialists, and then the master volunteers, which would be master gardeners and master naturalists. So we'll look kind of at that stuff too. And then, of course, consequences, again, from Roger's book. The Tomato Harvester was a really interesting read, and how this machine was intended to make life easier. But an unintended consequence was the actual development of the tomato itself, and to make it actually work with this machine, the outside of the tomato had to become harder, like a harder skin. So we actually changed the fruit or vegetable, however you want to look at it, to actually meet this harvesting machine, which is a little in the inverse, but that is sort of the nuts and bolts of that. So another good read. All right. So for those of you who don't know the agricultural extension model, this is a model that is actually in all 50 states in the United States, and they are housed under land grant universities, or you might see that termed as LGI. So in 1862, that is under the Morrill Act that actually started the whole process of the extension model for teaching folks how to do agriculture in better and more efficient ways. But kind of what they found out too is people were going to school to learn, and then they were not coming back to the family farm. So they weren't really diffusing a lot of the information back into the farming community. So in 1914, the Smith-Lever Act was forth, and this is what really actually created the extension service. And the whole purpose here is really to take the research that's being done and get it out into the community. So to make it through either teaching, education, demonstrations. So especially a lot of demonstration plots are a big part of this. But you can see the extension model is pretty extensive throughout the United States. Funding for extension comes really from two different aspects. As you can see, a little graphic there from USDA. We have federal funds that flow down into state funds and then into more or less local funds. So we have capacity grants and competitive grants. Capacity grants are grants that are have no match. They are just actual monies given to the university to do extension and research related activities. And then you have competitive grants, which are grants that are applied for through a competitive basis. And some of them will only be for universities, others will be for other entities that want to apply for these grants. But generally in our area in extension, as extension specialists, we usually are applying for competitive grants through a lot of it through USDA. Those are a lot of the grants that are out there, and a lot of times if it's an EPA grant from the Environmental Protection Agency, that money funnels down through either the TCEQ or the Texas State Soil and Water Conservation Board, one of those two groups, or money funnels down from USDA into Parks and Wildlife or other areas. So lots of grant money out there and lots of opportunities, but competitive path on that. So for Texas A&M, right, it is probably one of the most I guess I don't really know what the words I'm looking for, but it's one of the biggest, one of the best extension models that are in the United States. It is over 2,000 employees across the state of Texas. We have a county agent in 250 of the 254 counties in the state of Texas. So you can see how robust it is, and that can be anywhere from a horticulture agent to a ag and natural resources agent down to the family and community health agents. So we've got all of those agent programs that are in place. Some counties have multiple of all of those. Some counties have one agent doing everything. But that is the way the Texas model works. We have county extension agents are kind of the change agents, right? I guess as you could call that. They're the front line folks. Then there's extension program specialists, or just program specialists. There's two different specialists there that work on usually specialty programs, right? So it might be, a specialist in like horticulture, or a specialist in water, or a specialist in in beef or whatever, right? We have these specialists that specialize in these things. And then we have researchers, which are in the labs doing the actual research, or they're in the field doing the actual research. So we have the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, which is the umbrella, and then under the umbrella is AgriLife Extension, AgriLife Research, Texas A&M Forest Service, and the Veterinary Medical Diagnostic Laboratory. And then under each of these are other offices or units, as they call them. So I'm with the Texas Water Resources Institute, which falls under both extension and research. So we have people on both ends of that program. So what I wanted to do is take this information and sort of highlight a program that I am working on called the Master Volunteer Education Program. This was a grant that was written a while back ago and submitted to the Texas State Soil and Water Conservation Board, who then funded it, and because they actually felt like there was a need for this particular program. So this program is a statewide master volunteer education program. And when I say master volunteer, I'm talking master gardeners and master naturalists, both at the same time. So essentially what this program is doing is taking all of our watershed education programs throughout the state and combining them all together into one online program where these master volunteers can go and take these programs and get a certificate or a specialist, become a specialist in this particular topic. And then that information will then get put out into the community through the master gardeners and the master naturalists. So we're kind of trying to meet a lot of needs and a lot of demands with this one particular program. How it fits into the innovation and development process, real quickly, is number one, the need to advance public education on watersheds and water quality issues was there. That was just a given on that. That is something that the Texas State Soil and Water Conservation Board felt like was a critical issue. So that established that need or that problem there. And then so the research was done on the issue and how the issue is um, getting resolved, right? So the research is deep and wide on that particular topic. And then the program development was done really in partnership with all of the key stakeholders, right? So AgriLife Digital Education is putting the program together. The Master Gardeners and Master Naturalists leadership folks are working on being sure the curriculum is appropriate for them. And then, of course, the county extension agents who are over the master volunteers will also be involved in this program and can add it to their master plan. And then, of course, the AgriLife specialists, which are putting this program together. So we've got the whole thing is done. The development is long and tedious, and then commercialization will also be marketed, packaged through AgriLife and TWRI Marketing and Communications, and that will have the same look and feel as everything that is Texas A&M education-wise. So that is where we hope things will have much more of an appeal because it'll have that Texas A&M look and feel. And then, of course, the diffusion and adoption, where I am kind of connecting this to, is really where we will see that success and or that failure. And of course, consequences, we don't really know yet. We've discussed what could be some consequences of this program, but we really won't know the full extent of that until after this program is rolled out. So as it comes down to the diffusion and the adoption part of the program, of these steps, which is really the critical part in my opinion. If the master gardener or master volunteer groups do not pick up this program, do not pursue this type of certificate, then there's no way that this will be successful, because with several thousand master volunteers throughout the state that are all required to do education and are all looking to do more things in their community, if some of them, just a fraction of them, will actually pick up this program as one of their specialties and then continue to educate on the watershed and water quality issues throughout the state, then we'll be able to diffuse more of that information into the community and be able to affect change much more rapidly. And then the other thing where it fits in is this notion of gatekeeping, which Rogers mentions in there, which is really kind of controlling the information, controlling everything that happens, and by using the already established watershed programs throughout the Texas A&M extension system, we are able to really control the flow of that information. We know exactly what we're teaching, what is being disseminated, and what the master volunteer groups are picking up, and then also disseminating through their presentations and their talks. So that is really the critical part. And so without those, you really can't have consequences, which would be the next step after this, because you haven't really got the program going. But we've done everything up to this point, and now it is almost time to actually put this program out into the community. So, and one of the other things that Rogers mentioned is one of the most important aspects to this is the time when you decide to actually diffuse this, whatever it is, into the community to see if it if it actually takes off, right? So that is a big piece to the puzzle. And here are the references that I used for the information in this PowerPoint. I hope you guys got a little something out of that. And then I will end with just a little thank you slide with my contact information if you absolutely need to get a hold of me. So that's it. Thanks for your time. Appreciate you.